Congratulations to everyone. In the final round, we have a unanimous decision, and all three judges agreed that pro team won the debate. I'll be happy to go first. I think that you're doing a good job of explaining why parents can teach kids what is right and wrong. But I think that the pro team has made an argument, and they've agreed with that. And they said the problem is the kids don't listen. Because sometimes kids want things, and their parents don't buy it for them, and then they get angry. So even if the parent is telling the kids, you know, this type of food is bad, and you shouldn't like these types of ads, the kids are so mad that they don't receive and learn from the information. So I think that their argument is just a little bit further ahead than yours, because they're focused a little bit more on kids, and you can be right about parents, but unless you can prove that kids will always do what their parents tell them to, it's going to be hard for you to win that point.
I actually had the exact same decision that Julian had. I think that you had a really good argument. The content team had a great argument in their summary speech about parents can use ads to teach their kids, and that's great. The issue with that is that the pro team already answered that, because they said, look, parents are never at home, and if the parents aren't at home, they can't use the ads, and they also said kids don't listen. So I actually had the exact same thoughts that Julian had. It's a matter of the pro team was just a little bit further ahead on that argument, and also the obesity never got questioned. The con team never said, well, it won't make us obese, or obesity isn't as bad. So basically we're just having an argument over whether or not what causes the problem, not that the problem is bad. So because of that, the pro team had the only impact to weigh through the round, and they also had a better way of getting to that impact.
I agree. I just think that they're ahead on that. I think that one thing you could have done a little differently was to talk about some of the impacts that you were talking about previously in the debate. You just talk about reasons why parenting can kind of solve back their problems, and I think that that's fine, but I think that should just be a short part of the last speech. It shouldn't be the entirety of the last speech. And what I mean by that is you have other arguments previous in the debate, such as the slippery slope that leads to worse forms of advertisement, and all these other arguments that are being made previously. And I think you could be doing a little bit better job of explaining those later on in the debate instead of focusing just so much on the parenting aspect. And there's also another thing is when you're first extending the parenting argument, I think in the second speech, you go through everything and you say parenting can solve this, parenting can solve this, parenting can solve this. And I think that's fine, and I think that's probably the correct way to go. But I think it's more effective for you just to say that at the top of the speech and say, I want to talk about our parenting argument right here. If we can win our parenting argument, that solves back for all of the things that they've talked about. It solves for obesity because of this. It solves for alcohol because of this. It solves for this, because of this. And what that allows you to do is allows you to make different arguments when you get further down on the flow, and it gives you a little bit more time to make different arguments later on in the debate to answer those, to answer those arguments more specifically instead of just saying parenting can solve all of these problems. Not that I think that's an incorrect argument, I just think that that allows you more time to talk about other things in the debate and to make other arguments as far as reasons why those arguments aren't necessarily as strong. I will say one thing that I think you need to do in your second speech is instead of saying that ads are evil, not that that is against what you're saying, you need to explain what you mean by ads are evil, right? And for example, ads are bad because they lead to obesity. Ads are bad because they lead to alcohol abuse. Ads are bad because it leads to poor development between parents. It's not enough to just say they're evil, you need to kind of quantify that with an impact. And I think instead of just saying they're evil, you should say, look, ads do bad things. Here are what those bad things are. We need to do something to stop those bad things. Okay, we need to try and do it. And I think you're doing that in later portions of the debate. But I think that that would help your second speech a lot better, is just kind of explain those a little bit more, just kind of quantify what you mean when you say either.
Conteam, did you know that the pro never responded to your point about educational TV in this debate? Yeah, you knew that? Then you should have talked about that and pointed that out. That's a reason why advertising is good. You brought it up in your speech. Zoe didn't talk about it in her speech. Julie didn't talk about it in the final focus. That would be an argument that, you know, might sway the judges in this debate. And you've been so focused on parenting throughout the debate that you're not seeing those other things that you could be winning on. So don't get so focused on one point that you forget about the other things that you have in the debate.
Okay,
I want to
thank
say
you.
one
Yeah,
thing to
okay.
you two, which is you two need to ask questions in Crossfire. Okay? This is 2 rounds in a row where you just get really quiet and you don't say anything, you just answer. And when you answer questions, you answer them correctly. You're both very smart, right? And you think of the right things to say, so think of some questions.
Or you guys can rest.
I've never seen a round where one team never asked the question.
And I know that we've talked about this in class, but if you're not sure of what question to ask, talk about your evidence. Right? Use your evidence and phrase a question based off of your evidence and say, how do you respond to this? And you're just you just don't know what it is. That's always a good default to just kind of go back to. And you don't really need to think about an argument, because where you have an argument, you're just asking them to respond to it.
Okay, thank you very much.